Hello, I'm Gina T. Welcome to Compel to Impact, where you can renew your mind and transform your life. First, I want to apologize. I have no idea what's happening with my video. And I have a second video camera, and that's not working out either. So I don't know what's going on. I apologize for that. Although I'm really okay with this picture being up. All right, so this is episode 69. Have you lost hope? And what do you do now if you feel like you've lost hope? I'm sure we can agree that life is different and in the midst of changing what seems like every single day. What took 60 years to move the needle of most pieces of life, especially technology and information, now seems to be taking only a few years or even months. It's a little bit crazy. And while life around you looks like it's moving at warp speed, coupled with chaos, life inside of you might be feeling confused and lost. It's not something humans like to share because we have a concept of needing to have it all together. And confusion or lost hope is basically unthinkable. It's one of those weakness accusations, but without truth, since you only know what you know at any given time. And if you haven't learned more or better, that's where it can hold you back. So if you're feeling hopeless, you're not wrong, only uninformed. Maybe you can relate to this visual. In the days of making collages from magazine photos for a class project, you tried your best to convey your point by cutting out the images just the way you wanted them, and then gluing them to the poster board just right so that your work was easily and readily understood. Now, just imagine that you're doing that, going about your day, putting your project together. But imagine that to be what your life had been and what you've expected from life to continue as is what's at stake. All of a sudden, someone runs frantically into the room with a bunch of unrelated photos, glue, and supplies that have no relation to what you're doing. They begin gluing all sorts of things to your board, layer upon layer, in a helter-skelter manner. Then, just as quickly as they came in to assault your work, they left. There you sit, looking at this pile of confusion and invasion into your private work. Now, you have no time to fix this and no supplies to start over. What does this feel like? How can this even be close to anything you would be able to present in your class or meeting? Do you just give up? Okay, so I know this is very simplistic because there are so many situations in life that are much more critical to understand and get right. They're also filled with more urgency than a class project or something as simple as a collage on a poster board. I understand because as a child, I was stuck in a cycle of subtle expectations and agendas that weren't mine. It was before there was more understanding of emotions and the need to recognize and empathize with the emotions of others. There were not as many teachings and indications of self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and effective communication. It was a completely different world. The level of understanding these things was only in the first steps of developing into emotional intelligence. The problem with that is passing on to others one's inadequacy to resolve issues. This results in hopelessness for a better resolve and carries over into every component of life. The way you do one thing is the way you do all things. Essentially, damaging your hope for better life might lead to a downward spiral. First, I want to say that there is hope. There's always hope, even if it's just a tiny spark. You can change yourself. You can change situations and habits to make your life better than you could imagine. There are some specific ways to do that, which I'll mention later. So my experience is, I can't speak for my younger siblings, but now it's obvious that my older brother and my next younger brother and I all experienced PTSD from our parents and the consequences of their unresolved issues. Besides the fact that my dad was in prison camp during World War II and all sorts of terrible things, and he was just in his 20s. Those situations might have been between them, in other relationships and misunderstandings over the years, or carried on from medieval feuds. It sounds like I'm kidding, but that's a real thing. It can carry on from one generation to another until you don't even recognize what it is. You know, people walk around saying, I'm just whatever, always depressed, or I'm always hopeless, or I'm always whatever. They don't walk around like that, but they're thinking this. Sometimes they say something. Suffice to say that we're children soaking up all those spoken and unspoken inadequacies that were offered. Even into our 20s and probably later, when there was progress with my parents' business, but peppered with unresolved issues, the ways of thinking, believing, speaking, and acting were very toxic, adding to the burden of the bag of crap we each carried around. When multiple losses of different kinds outweighed any impetus to follow my dreams, there was no one to hold on to or talk to. Anyone I did reach out to really didn't own the mentorship that they originally offered. I not only felt stripped of people, circumstances, and possibilities on the outside, but every shred of hope that remained inside my soul vanished without any kind of a tether. After decades of chipping away at hope for any kind of fulfilled life, it culminated in despair and apathy. This left me at a level of vibration and expectation that would continue the downward spiral. As much as I tried to do the right thing, my choices had consequences beyond my understanding that I was not prepared for. Hopelessness left me unable to trust myself and my decisions. My family was basically in the same place, leaving them unable to understand and guide me or themselves. At the risk of being the weakest link, because we didn't communicate, needing to be strong, I couldn't confide in them anymore. Hoping for thriving in our community was also gone. I can see how over time individuals, all the way through civilizations, become prey to destruction, corruption, and depravity. But now we know there are several ways to make huge changes and raise the level of thinking, believing, speaking, and doing to match the vision of goodness and excellence that we want to see in the world. Eventually, I learned from each mistake, from each wrong that I did, each wrong move in my heart and my mind, and from each right move to begin to open to transparency and ultimate truth. It wasn't easy. There were many tears, since once I was able to cry again, there were many times I felt lost and alone on the journey. However, even baby steps forward are still steps toward that to create, still steps to create a foundation to stand stronger and see past the past. No matter what level of hopelessness you feel, it's always important to address your emotions and thoughts so they don't fester and become moldy and stinky parts of your soul. You don't want to drag that bag of crap around with you, and definitely don't want to hand it to someone else, since they will not be able to resolve what's not theirs to deal with. In any case, here are some actions and habits that can help you move forward from a place of forgiveness and grace that open the doors to living a more hopeful and excellent life. First, know that forgiveness doesn't condone the other person's actions. It helps you take your power back and become personally responsible to change your direction and rise above to a higher level. Next, there is someone who is bigger than you, a divine force, God, Spirit, that you are intimately connected with. Forgiveness and grace plug you into alignment of that relationship quickly to create an impact in your life and connect you to your divine purpose. Third, take control of your forward motion by acknowledging and accepting your responsibility in each situation. Then release it completely so that you open and hold space to receive the gifts and talents God has been waiting to give you. Now, this is a process that I use with my clients to acknowledge the situation, accept your responsibility, release it or surrender it completely, so that you open and hold space to receive what God has for you. And number 4, set your mind to focus on one thing, which is to declutter and organize your life from things like unforgiveness that hold you back from truly experiencing your joyful life. It is possible. And I've done it. A lot of people have done it, but it takes willingness to do it, a commitment to yourself to get this done and cleaned up, and the dedication to continue, so that you never have your soul all gunked up with the stuff that mostly is not even yours. And hope springs from that. Hope grows from that. Hopelessness is so debilitating. It causes a lot of other emotional and mental, I want to say illness, but that's not what it is, conditions and lack of ease. So dis-ease. Anyway, it's possible to do this. No matter where the hopelessness started from, no matter what it is and who it actually belongs to. But the mere fact that we can regain our hope and stop the generational passing on of inadequacy and hopelessness is like pretty amazing. And I believe that if you're in a place like that, just do whatever it takes. Follow these 4 steps. Well, they're not really steps, but ideas, and take personal responsibility. Write it down. That helps a lot. And you can always go back and see how far you've come once you get started on this journey. Anyway, so that's it for today. I appreciate you so much listening, subscribing, sharing, and interacting. Please leave a comment. I like to know, what you think. There are a ton of subjects that I will be speaking on. I had a few technical issues and a few other issues. I had a cold, so I couldn't talk without coughing. I didn't want to do that online, so I didn't record anything for a while. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. Keep seeking and learning. Stay open to possibilities of grace, compassion, and love. And as always, live excellently, give generously, and love lavishly. Till next time. Mwah.